The sky was dark with orange clouds. The air smelled like burning metal. Captain Ray opened his eyes slowly, his body hurting from the crash. He was lying on hard ground, surrounded by broken pieces of his spaceship. Sparks flew from damaged panels and smoke rose into the sky. He tried to sit up, but pain shot through his chest. His head spun, and he could not remember where he was, or why. Where? M1? Ray whispered, his voice dry and cracked. He looked around, but there was no sign of life. The land was flat and silent, with strange black rocks and glowing plants. A cold wind blew dust into the air. Ray saw no stars above, only thick clouds moving slowly like they were alive. He touched a small wound on his forehead. Blood on his fingers, his suit was torn, his weapons gone, and his communicator was broken. He was alone, or so he thought, as he stood up slowly. Something moved in the distance. It was tall, walking with grace, but not human. Ray narrowed his eyes, trying to see clearly. The shape came closer, calm, silent, confident. It was a woman, but not of Earth. Her skin was pale silver, her eyes deep blue like space. She wore armor made of smooth black metal that shimmered in the light. She had no weapon in hand, only something strange in her expression, sadness, maybe hope. She stopped a few steps away from him and looked into his eyes. Then she said it, slowly and clearly. "Do you remember me, human?" Ray froze, his breath caught in his throat. Her voice was soft but strong, like she had waited a long time to say those words. His heart raced, confused and nervous. I don't know you," he said, his voice shaking. "I've never seen you before." The alien woman tilted her head slightly, still watching him. "Maybe your mind does not remember, but your soul might," she replied. Ray looked away, uncomfortable. "What are you talking about?" he asked. "Who are you?" She did not answer right away. Instead, she stepped closer, raising her hand slowly. Ray flinched, ready to fight or run, but she only pointed behind him. He turned and saw a strange symbol glowing on the side of a rock. It pulsed with soft blue light, the same color as her eyes. "I followed your signal when your ship entered this world's orbit," she said. "You were not supposed to return." "Not here." Ray stared at the symbol. Something about it felt familiar. He felt a strange pull in his chest, like a memory trying to surface. "But it was just out of reach. I don't understand," he said. "What is this place?" The woman looked up at the sky, her face calm but distant. "This was once a place of peace," she said, "before your people brought war." Ray frowned. "That's not possible. I don't know anything about a war here." She stepped closer. Again, her voice quiet but firm. "You knew me once," she said. "You stood by my side, not as enemies, but as allies." He shook his head. "No, I would remember something like that." Still, part of him wasn't sure. A shadow of a memory passed through his mind, flashes of a battlefield, a scream, a blue sky turning red. He blinked and the vision was gone. What was that? He whispered, holding his head. "You're starting to feel it," she said, her voice softer now. "Your mind is blocking the truth, but it's still inside you." Ray looked at her again, this time truly seeing her. She was not just a stranger. There was something in her face, pain, hope, and something else, something warm. He stepped back, unsure of what to believe. "This must be some kind of trick," he said, trying to stay calm, but his hands were shaking. She lowered her eyes, her voice almost a whisper. "If you truly believe that, then I will leave you alone." She turned and began to walk away. Ray watched her go, every step pulling at something deep inside him. "Wait," he called, surprising himself. She stopped but did not turn. Ray took a breath, then asked, "What's your name?" She looked back over her shoulder, and her eyes shone like stars. "My name is Naira," she said, "and you once called me your only friend." Ray stood still, speechless. The wind blew around him, carrying her words like echoes. Something old and hidden moved inside his mind, and for the first time since the crash, he felt afraid, not of her, but of what he might remember. Naira disappeared into the dust. Ray stood in silence, unsure what to believe. He looked at the strange glowing symbol again. It pulsed softly like a heartbeat. Somewhere deep inside, he felt a pull. A voice in his mind, distant but familiar, whispered, "You've been here before." He shook his head, trying to focus. "This is crazy," he muttered. "I don't know her. I don't know this place." But part of him wasn't sure anymore. He picked up a broken piece of metal from the crash and used it as a walking stick. His legs still hurt, and his energy was fading. Still, he followed her tracks across the silent ground. The sky grew darker as he walked. Strange shapes moved above the clouds, silent. Watching, he saw no sun, no moon. Only light from the plants and glowing stones around him. Everything felt unreal, like a dream he couldn't wake up from. He kept walking, the wind whispering things he didn't understand. After an hour, he found her. She was sitting on a rock, near a small pool of clear blue water. The water glowed from underneath, casting soft light on her face. She didn't look surprised to see him. "You came," she said without turning. "I had questions," Ray replied, "and I want answers." Nira stood slowly and looked at him. "I will not lie to you," she said. "But the truth will hurt." Ray walked closer, stopping near the edge of the pool. "What happened here?" he asked. "What was this place before the war?" Nira knelt down and touched the water with her fingers. Images appeared on the surface, moving like memories. He saw tall towers made of crystal, alien people walking with humans, laughing, trading, learning, then smoke, fire, soldiers, betrayal. "This was once a world of peace," she said. "You were sent here by Earth to make contact, to build trust." Ray watched the images, his mouth dry. "And what happened?" he asked. "Why did it turn into war?" Nira looked at him, her eyes full of pain. "Your leaders made a deal," she said, "but they broke it. They used you to gain access to our systems, then sent an army to take control." Ray stepped back. "No, I would never be part of that." "You weren't," she replied. "You turned against them. You warned us. You fought beside us." Ray's heart pounded in his chest. "You're lying," he said, but his voice was weak. "I don't remember any of this." She stood and walked toward him slowly. "You were injured in the final battle," she said. "They captured you, wiped your mind, and used you again." Ray held his head, flashes running through his mind. He saw a hallway, alarms ringing. Nira's face covered in blood. He saw himself holding her hand as they ran. Then darkness. I saw something," he whispered. "Just for a moment." Nira reached into a small pouch and pulled out a metal ring. It was smooth, silver, and glowed slightly when she touched it. She handed it to him. "You gave this to me before the battle," she said. "You said it would bring you back." Ray looked at the ring, his hands shaking. It felt warm, and the glow grew brighter in his palm. More memories rushed in his voice, calling her name, a promise to return. He dropped the ring, stepping back in shock. "This can't be real," he said. "I'm a soldier. I don't fall in love with aliens." Nira smiled gently, not offended. "No. You were never just a soldier," she said. "You were a bridge between two worlds. You chose peace, even when it cost you everything." Ray sat down on the ground, overwhelmed. If she was telling the truth, then his whole life had been a lie. His mission, his orders, his loyalty based on erased memories and false commands. "What happens now?" he asked, looking up at her. Nira looked to the sky, where dark shapes were growing larger. "Your signal has been found," she said. "Earth knows you survived the crash." Ray stood, his jaw tight. "Will they come for me?" "They will come for both of us," she said. "And they won't ask questions." Ray picked up the glowing ring again and slipped it into his pocket. "If what you said is true, then I need to find out everything. I need to know who I was and who I am." Nira nodded slowly. "Then follow me," she said. "There is one place left that might awaken what they tried to bury." Ray didn't hesitate. He followed her into the night, toward the ruins of a forgotten alliance, toward the truth, toward himself. The path ahead was twisted and dark. Old trees with glowing veins leaned over like silent watchers. Strange symbols moved across the rocks. Not carved but alive. Captain Ray followed Nira, each step taking him deeper into a world he had once known, but now feared. They didn't speak for a while. The only sound was the wind whispering through alien leaves. Ray's mind was heavy, flashes of memory now breaking through like cracks in ice. He saw fire, falling ships, soldiers screaming his name. He saw Nira crying, her hand reaching for him through smoke. They reached the entrance of an ancient structure, buried in moss and time. It looked like a temple, but it had no doors. Just a circular gate with lights spinning slowly, reacting to their presence. Nira touched the center, and the ground trembled. The gate opened, revealing stairs that went deep underground. Ray hesitated, but she looked back and nodded. "You've been here before," she said. "Many times." The air inside was cold and still. Walls pulsed with blue veins of light, like blood flowing through stone. As they walked deeper, Ray's memories grew stronger. Each hallway felt familiar, every turn like a forgotten dream. They entered a wide chamber filled with floating crystals. The light from them formed moving images in the air memories recorded. In energy, Nira stepped forward and placed her hand on a stone platform. "It's time," she said. "Watch, one by one." The crystals lit up. Ray saw a younger version of himself, standing beside Nira. He wore dark armor, not Earth military, but something older, more advanced. He was smiling, laughing even, shaking hands with alien leaders. Then more scenes, he and Nira training soldiers, sharing food, building peace. Then betrayal. He saw Earth's warships arrive without warning. He watched his past self shouting into a comlink, trying to stop the invasion. He saw himself running into battle, shielding Nira with his own body. Finally, he saw the moment he was taken. 2 men from Earth's command unit surrounded him, injected him with something. Everything went black. Ray stepped back, heart racing. "That's me," he whispered. "That's really me." Nira nodded slowly, pain in her eyes. "You fought for us," she said. "You gave up everything." Ray gripped the edge of the platform to stay upright. "All this time," he said, "I thought I was just another soldier. They turned me into a weapon." "Yes," Nira said. "And they used your silence to erase the truth." She pointed to one final crystal, glowing brighter than the rest. "This is the memory they wanted to bury most." Ray touched it, and the room changed. He stood in a vision of the past surrounded by fire. Bodies and ruins. Nira was beside him, wounded, and Earth's soldiers surrounded them, but Ray wasn't afraid. He was giving something to Nira, a small device, shaped like a star. "This holds the truth," his memory self said. "If they take me, hide this, show it when the time is right." The vision faded, and Ray looked at Nira, shocked. "You still have it?" he asked. She reached into her armor and pulled out the star-shaped device. "I've kept it hidden for years," she said, "waiting for you to remember." Ray took it from her and stared at it. It felt heavy, not just in weight, but in meaning. Inside this device was proof that Earth started the war, proof he had been on the side of peace. Suddenly, alarms echoed through the ruins. Red lights flashed in the hallway behind them. "They found us," Nira said, eyes sharp. Ray put the device into his belt. "Then we need to leave now." They ran through a side tunnel. Deeper into the ruins, explosions shook the ground. Above, Earth's drones blasting their way inside. Ray's instincts kicked in. He knew how to move, how to fight, even without his full memory. His body remembered. They reached a hidden hangar, where an old ship sat beneath layers of dust. Ray looked at it and smiled. "I built this with you, didn't I?" "Yes," Nira said. "You called it the Ember." They boarded quickly as lasers burned through the outer walls. Ray powered up the ship with one touch, the controls lighting up in response. "It still remembers me," he said, amazed. Engines roared, and the ship rose into the air, outside. Earth's fighters circled like vultures. Ray looked at Nira, eyes full of fire. "If they want to hide the truth, They're going to have to kill me again, Nira smiled. The first real smile he'd seen on her face. Then let's make them remember who you really are. As the ember shot into the sky, Ray knew one thing. He wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was a witness, a rebel, and a key to ending a war built on lies. Asterisk, the ember tore through the clouds. Ray held the controls tight, feeling every shake and pull as the old ship rose higher. Outside, enemy drones followed like shadows cold. Fast and without mercy, Nira sat beside him, watching the radar flash. "Red, they've locked onto us," she said calmly. Ray didn't flinch. "Let them," he replied. Eyes locked forward, the ship was old, but it was built with alien tech. Ray had helped design it long ago. He was sure of it now, each button. Every lever felt like home in his hands. Memories returned in bursts, flying this ship with Nira beside him. Laughing, escaping, surviving. Now it was no longer an escape. It was a mission. He had the device, the proof, and Earth would do anything to stop him from revealing it. Lasers ripped through the sky behind them. 2 drones closed in, their weapons charged. Ray spun the ember sharply, dodging a blast that lit up the clouds. The ship groaned under pressure, but it held. "We can't outrun them forever," Nira warned. Ray nodded. "Then we don't," he said. "We fight." He flipped a hidden switch, and the ship's wings opened wider. Energy cannons charged on both sides, glowing bright with power. Ray aimed and fired 2 clean shots. One drone exploded in flames, falling fast. The second dodged, but its wing was damaged. Nira smiled, impressed. "You're starting to remember everything." Ray didn't smile back. "I wish I didn't." He said, "Some memories hurt more than wounds." The damaged drone fell back, but others took its place. A full squad now surrounded them. Ray gritted his teeth. "They won't stop until we're dead." "Then we go where they won't follow," Nira said. Ray glanced at her. "You mean the dead zone?" She nodded. "It's unstable, full of storms and broken gravity fields. But Earth tech fails there." Ray turned the ship sharply, heading toward the black storm wall on the horizon. The dead zone looked like a crack in the sky, pulsing with red lightning. The pursuing drones hesitated, scanning it, calculating the risk. One turned back, the rest followed. As the ember entered the storm, the world outside changed. Colors twisted, gravity shifted, and noise vanished like a breath held. Too long. Inside the cockpit, lights flickered, systems blinked. Ray kept the ship steady, muscles tight. "We've got maybe 10 minutes before everything shuts down," he said. Nira stood and opened a hidden panel on the wall. "Then we use that time to find the relay station." Ray raised an eyebrow. "There's a relay station inside this storm?" "An old one," she said. "Built before the war, forgotten, just like you. If we reach it, we can broadcast the truth to every free signal in the sector." The storm tossed the ship violently, but Ray held it on course. Ahead, a broken tower appeared from the fog. Its base was buried in black stone, but the antenna still stood tall. "There it is," Nira said. But before they could celebrate, a blast rocked the ship. A drone had made it through the storm, burning and sparking, but still hunting. It fired again, and the ember's wing caught fire. "Brace for landing," Ray shouted. The ship hit the ground hard, skidding across rocks, crashing through old wreckage. Sparks flew, alarms screamed. And then silence. Smoke filled the air, but they were alive. Ray coughed, pulling himself out of the wrecked cockpit. Nira followed, limping slightly. The relay station stood just a few meters ahead, dark and dead. But Nira ran to it without hesitation. "There's still power in the core," she said. "We just need to wake it up." Ray opened the back panel and connected the device, the truth core. It hummed with energy, pulsing with information Earth had tried to bury. He looked at Nira. "Once this goes out, we can't hide anymore." "I stopped hiding when they took you," she said. The console lit up. A countdown began. The signal would go live in 30 seconds. Suddenly, movement. The damaged drone crawled from the wreck, sparking but still active. It raised its weapon, aiming at Ray. Before he could react, Nira jumped between them. The blast hit her in the side. She fell to the ground with a cry. Ray screamed, ran to her. Her breathing was shallow, her armor cracked. "I'm okay," she whispered. "Finish it." He turned, rage burning in his chest. He grabbed the drone's arm and ripped it off using raw strength he didn't know he had. The machine died, falling in pieces. He turned back to the console. 5 seconds left. 4, 3. He placed his hand on the panel. And the truth, everything was sent out into the stars. Across satellites, pirate stations, hidden networks, the real story of the war, of Ray's betrayal, of Earth's lies, every word echoed far beyond that broken world. Ray dropped to his knees beside Nira. Her hand found his. "You did it," she whispered, and for the first time in years, Ray felt free. But freedom always comes at a cost, and more enemies were already on their way. Smoke drifted through the air. The ancient relay tower still glowed, its message echoing across space. But there was no time to rest. Ray held Nira in his arms, her breath shallow, her skin pale silver against the dark stone. "You're going to be okay," he said, voice shaking. Nira gave a weak smile. "You always say that," she whispered, and somehow she believed him. He carried her back into the ember, half broken but still alive. Inside, sparks flew from the walls. Systems failed one by one, but the backup engine hummed low. Ray laid her gently in the med pod and activated the healing field. Soft light wrapped around her wounds, slowing the bleeding. She closed her eyes, breathing steady now. Ray walked to the front of the ship and stared out through the cracked glass. Earth would be coming, and now they knew he had remembered. They knew the truth was out. But there was still one thing missing, proof from their own hands. "I need more than just memories," he said to himself. Then he remembered, in the final flash of memory back in the ruins, he had seen a ship, not alien, not Ember. It was Earth-made, hidden beneath the surface of this planet, left behind after the invasion failed. Ray opened the navigation logs, digging through fragments of corrupted data. After a few minutes, he found coordinates buried deep under the Stormlands. An old command vessel, ESV Argon. Earth had left it behind, locked and sealed, thinking no one would ever return. But now Ray had to. He set a course, flying low and silent through twisted skies. Nira rested behind him, her life tied to time, and he didn't have much of it left. Hours passed, the clouds thickened, and finally, the Argon appeared, half buried in black rock. It looked like a fallen beast, silent and forgotten. Ray landed nearby and stepped out, the ground soft beneath his boots. The ship's hull was cracked but strong. He found a hidden hatch near the base and used his old Earth command code. To his surprise, it still worked. Inside, the halls were dark and cold. Red emergency lights flickered, casting shadows that felt alive. The ship had been abandoned in a hurry. Ray walked past broken helmets, fallen rifles, and blood-stained walls. This wasn't a retreat, it was a massacre. He reached the command room, sealed tight. A biometric scan blocked the door. Ray placed his hand on the panel, and the system paused. "ID recognized," the voice said slowly. "Welcome back, Captain Ray Mercer." The door opened, and the cold truth waited inside. The command room was untouched. Holographic screens hovered. Systems powered by hidden cores. Ray moved to the central console and activated the archive. A blue light filled the room as files loaded video logs. Orders, communications, all marked classified. He opened the first file, a meeting of Earth generals, speaking in cold voices. "The alliance is too strong," one said. "We'll use Mercer to break it," another replied. "He trusts them now. Let him gain access to their tech, then wipe his memory." Ray watched himself on the screen calm. Unaware, loyal, they had used him from the start. File after file played, plans to betray the aliens, steal their energy cores, control their worlds. Even the media cover-up was scripted. They labeled the aliens as invaders, even after Earth attacked first. Ray's hands trembled, all those years of fighting for honor based on lies. Then he saw one final file, locked with his personal code. He opened it. It was a message from himself, recorded just before the memory wipe. His face appeared, tired but clear. "If you're watching this," the past Ray said, "then you've remembered. They lied to you, used you, but you still have a choice. Expose them, even if it costs your life." Ray stared at his own eyes full of truth, full of fire. He downloaded all the files to a drive, placed it into his suit, and turned to leave. But the ship had awakened. A red alarm sounded through the hall. Someone had triggered a beacon. The ECV Argon was broadcasting again. Ray ran through the corridor, back to the Ember, above the planet. Earth's fleet began to move. They had heard the signal, and they were coming fast. Ray reached the Ember and found Nira standing weak but awake. She looked at him, her voice soft. "You found it, didn't you?" He nodded. "I found everything." He handed her the drive. "This is what they fear most," he said. "Their own words." Nira held it close. "Then we still have a chance." Ray looked at the sky, lights already burning above the clouds. "They'll be here soon," he said. Nira touched his hand. "Then we make them listen." The sky was not quiet anymore. From the shattered clouds above, Earth's fleet arrived, one by one. Giant warships pierced the sky, their shadows falling over the planet like dark wings, flashing lights, steel bodies, and red markings, all marked with the Earth Federation symbol. They had come not to listen, but to silence. Ray stood outside the Ember, the data drive clutched in his hand. Beside him, Nira watched the sky with steady eyes. She was still weak from the attack, but something burned inside her: fury and hope. "They won't talk," Ray said. "They'll just attack." Nira looked at him. "Then make them hear you before they fire." The data inside the drive was everything: orders, recordings, betrayal, and truth. Proof that Earth had planned the war, used Ray, and tried to erase history, if they could broadcast it through the fleet's communication net. Soldiers would know, officers would see, but they had only minutes. A low beep came from the Ember's console. An incoming transmission from the lead ship. Ray stepped forward and accepted it. A cold voice filled the air. "Captain Ray Mercer, you are ordered to surrender immediately." Ray stared at the image on the screen, a stern general with hard eyes and a clean uniform. "You are carrying stolen data and aiding an enemy combatant." Nira moved beside him, her hand resting on the edge of the console. "We're not enemies," she whispered. "Not anymore." Ray spoke into the mic. "This isn't stolen," he said. "It's the truth. You used me, erased my memory, and started a war to gain power." The general's expression didn't change. "We did what we had to for Earth's survival," he said. Ray narrowed his eyes. "No," he replied. "You did it for control." Behind the general, other officers began to appear on the screen, some young, some old. Their faces were confused, unsure. The truth had already started spreading. Someone had leaked the message from the relay tower. "People are listening," Nira said. "Keep going." Ray took a breath. "I was one of your best," he said. "I followed orders, trusted you. But now I know what really happened. You betrayed our allies, broke a peace treaty, and turned me into a weapon. I won't help you cover it up anymore." A pause, then the general said coldly, "If you refuse to surrender, we will open fire on your location. Consider this your final warning." Ray looked up at the sky, where warships waited like wolves. Then he looked at Nira. She nodded. "We face them together." Ray reached into the console and sent a command. The Ember's systems linked with the nearest ship's communication relay. In seconds, the full set of files began uploading, uncut, unedited, undeniable, all across the fleet. Screens lit up with recordings, audio logs, classified files. Soldiers in hangars stopped and stared. Pilots froze inside cockpits, their fingers trembling. Some officers turned pale as their own voices played across the speakers. A second transmission came through, this time not from a general, a young soldier. Appeared on screen, her voice unsure but strong. "Captain Mercer," she said, "is this real?" Ray nodded. "Yes," he replied. "All of it." More voices followed from ships all over the fleet. "Why didn't they tell us?" "We thought the aliens attacked first." "He saved her?" "He saved one of them?" "This isn't what we signed up for, on the ground." Earth ships hovered, but didn't fire. Inside the Ember, the screen showed something unexpected. Multiple Earth commanders were disconnecting from the general's command. One by one, refusing the order to attack, Ray turned back to Nira. "They're listening," he said, amazed. Nira smiled, weak but proud. "You gave them something they didn't have," she said. "A choice." But the fight wasn't over yet. The general returned to the screen, rage in his voice. "You think truth makes you a hero?" He shouted, "You're still a traitor." "No," Ray said firmly. "I'm still human." A red light began flashing inside the Ember. An energy spike from the general's ship. He was charging a planet-killer weapon. "He's going to destroy the whole area," Nira warned. Ray narrowed his eyes. "Then we end this now." He ran to the command panel and activated the Ember's core fusion drive. The ship rose into the air slowly, glowing brighter. He turned to Nira. "You have to stay here," he said. Nira shook her head. "I'm not leaving you again." Ray held her close, then guided her to the escape pod. "You have to survive," he said. "Tell them what happened." She tried to speak, but he placed the ring in her hand, the one he once gave her. "I remembered everything," he whispered. Then, without another word, he launched the pod. Sending her away from the blast zone, Ray took the Ember up, straight toward the general's ship. The weapon began to fire, but Ray accelerated. Flames burning across the sky. He spoke one last message through the fleet. "This is not about war, it's about truth." And then the Ember struck the general's warship. A blinding light filled the sky, and silence followed. The sky burned silver where the Ember had vanished. Nothing remained but silence. And light falling like ash, the warship was gone, its weapon destroyed, and with it, Ray Mercer. The escape pod spun gently toward the surface. Inside, Nira lay. Still tears flowing silently down her cheek. She held the ring tight in her palm, the same ring Ray once gave her long ago. It glowed softly, pulsing like a fading heartbeat. She landed near the ruins, the ground still warm from the blast. Above her, Earth's fleet hovered, but didn't fire. The truth had reached them, and truth had changed everything. No orders were given, no shots were fired. One by one, ships powered down their weapons. And in the stillness, a message from Nira was broadcast across the stars. "You took him from me once," she said, voice calm and strong. "But he came back. Not just to remember, but to remind you who we were before the war. Before the lies." All across the galaxy, people listened, on colony worlds, in battle stations, in hidden outposts. Humans and aliens stood together, hearing the truth. And for the first time in years, there was no shouting, no fear, no orders to kill. There was silence, a silence full of change. Days passed. The news spread like fire in dry air. Ray's final flight became a signal of peace, the files he revealed tore down Earth's false narrative. Commanders who gave the betrayal orders were removed. A new voice began to rise, one that called for unity. Not power. Nira returned to the place where it all began. The ancient ruins now glowed bright again, like they were waking from sleep. She stood beside the symbol on the stone, the one that lit up when Ray touched it. This time, it glowed for her too. In her hands, the ring grew warm, then it pulsed once, twice, and from it a soft voice echoed, a recorded message, triggered only after his final act. "Nira," the voice said, "if you're hearing this, it means I didn't make it back. But I remember now. I remember everything. I remember your voice when we trained in the mountains of Jara. I remember your laughter when we shared fruit neither of us could pronounce. I remember your hand in mine, just before the last fight. And most of all, I remember who I became because of you. You taught me that being human wasn't just about Earth. It was about choosing what's right, even when the world tells you not to. I couldn't undo what they did, but I could make sure no one ever forgets again. So live, Nira. Live and build the peace we once dreamed of together. And if someday they ask what happened to the man you loved, tell them the truth. Tell them I remembered. The message ended. But the words stayed in the air, soft, powerful, eternal. Nira pressed the ring to her chest, and for the first time in many cycles, she smiled not with pain, but with peace. Years passed. The war ended. Earth signed a new treaty, one built on truth, not silence. Schools taught the full story. Monuments were built not to soldiers who followed orders, but to those who asked questions, to those who remembered. In a quiet place beneath a sky full of stars, a new academy rose. At its center, a statue of a man stood, tall, armor cracked, eyes forward. Beside him, a silver-skinned woman, hand in his, together, facing the future. And at the base, carved in both human and Nerian script, it read, "Peace begins where memory returns."